Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another true crime video. If you are new here, welcome and thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If you do enjoy this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. On February the 13th of 2017, 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were dropped off by a relative near the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. The two best friends planned to hike in the area during a day off from school. After failing to return home later that day, their families reported them missing. Tragically, their bodies were found the next afternoon in a wooded area along the creek northeast of the bridge. Initially, the investigators did not release their cause of death, but confirmed they were investigating the case as a double homicide. In the days following the discovery of their bodies, investigators released limited details about the crime scene. Investigators recovered Libby German's cell phone, which contained crucial evidence. A Snapchat video taken shortly before their deaths showed a man approaching them on the bridge. This man became known as Bridge Guy. On February the 22nd of 2017, police released the video of Bridge Guy along with audio of him saying, "down the hill." This is believed to be an instruction given to the girls before they were murdered. Police released sketches based off witness descriptions and the video, but many believe that these sketches do not look like Richard Allen, and to be honest, they don't even look like each other. Despite numerous tips from the public throughout several years, no arrests were made until October of 2022 when Richard Allen was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and kidnapping. Allen had admitted that he was present on the bridge that day during the time of the murders, but denied having anything to do with their deaths. He then later changed his timeline. And get this, he had actually come forward back in 2017 when the sketch and video image was released and said that he was there that day. This somehow slipped through the cracks and was not rediscovered until another investigator took another look at the case. Richard Allen, who has changed defense teams twice, is claiming that an Odinist cult is responsible and that the girls were killed as part of a ritual. They even claim that officers and court staff in Delphi, Indiana were wearing Odinistic symbols on their clothing. But then why did he confess to the murder over 60 times, including to his wife when she told him to stop talking over a recorded phone call? He even went as far as asking why nobody would believe him and saying, "I did it. I killed Abby and Libby." Not only did Richard Allen confess to his wife, he also confessed to his mother and told her that he wouldn't be telling her this if he didn't do it. Richard Allen's wife then hired a lawyer, and shortly after, Richard Allen began acting insane. Now, this is important to note because he originally confessed before going psychotic. And it was only shortly after talking to his lawyer that he began smearing feces on himself. Richard Allen is currently on trial, and graphic crime scene images were shown to the jury. Gruesome details also came out during trial about how the girls were killed. When they were found, one of the girls was partially nude and the other had been wearing the other girl's clothing. They had 5-inch slash wounds to their neck. Richard Allen's defense team is claiming that he was psychotic due to being locked in solitary confinement, but he was actually on watch because he had threatened to unalive himself. During some of Richard Allen's confessions, he knew details that nobody else knew at the time but the killer, according to investigators, including that their throats had been slashed and their bodies were covered with branches. Most importantly, he said that he planned to SA the girls, but a van scared him off, so instead he marched them across the creek and slit their throats before covering them with branches. Not only were those details kept extremely quiet for most of the time that he was incarcerated, but police didn't even know about a van at this time. This is important because a man named Brad Holder, who lived close by, drove by around the same time that Richard Allen was there. It fits perfectly with his original timeline before he realized, crap, that's exactly the time that the girls were murdered, and changed it. The defense team is also trying to point out that Brad Holder could have been responsible for the murders as he was in the area at that time. But again, the van was not known about when Richard Allen originally confessed. But the defense is claiming that Richard Allen knew these details because his psychologist at the time was sneaking him court documents. But that does not explain why he knew details that weren't even in those documents at that time. And I've listened to a voice clip played back to back from Richard Allen's wife's Facebook page compared to the bridge guy voice, and it is exactly the same. Defense also tried to point the finger at a man named Ron Logan, who was initially interviewed as the girls were found on property that he owned. Ron Logan has since passed away, and he has been cleared of any wrongdoing. In my opinion, if you zoom in closely, especially the fact that Ron Logan had a pretty thick mustache and Bridge Guy clearly has a goatee. Let's keep in mind that Richard Allen was a lot heavy. Get up on the stand and say otherwise. It could have been caused from debris, dirt. It could have been caused from water, and when it dried, it showed that it unplugged. Or it could have even been caused by a bug crawling in and out. Like, let's get serious here. The prosecutor stated that Richard Allen is responsible for the murders and released chilling details about the crime scene. He mentioned that an unspent bullet found between the bodies matched a gun that Richard Allen owned. He also highlighted that during Allen's jailhouse confessions, he knew details that only the murderer would have known. Allen's defense attorney argued reasonable doubt, stating that he was under distress at the time of the confessions. The defense team also raised questions about whether one person could have done this alone, which that does not clear Richard Allen, and honestly, if they let him walk and it turns out that him and somebody else was involved, they'll never be able to prosecute anybody for this again. At least if they have Richard Allen locked up and he does admit to somebody else being involved, they will be able to prosecute that other person. But now the jury has the case in this trial, and they have been deliberating for over 2 full days. Sounds to me like they are debating a little bit, and they did ask for more evidence just recently. They wanted to review an interrogation of Richard Allen, and they also wanted to review the video from Libby's phone. But I want to know, what do you guys think? Do you think he'll be found guilty? Do you think that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy? I'm sorry, I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I do think that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. I think there's just too much evidence that points to him, although it may be circumstantial, it does not matter. You've got him admitting to being there at that time, although he did change his timeline. He originally admitted to being there at that exact time. He admitted to being the person in the sketch. He admitted to being the person in the still image at the time. And although witnesses were describing a large man, many people are believing that that means that he was tall, but they're probably describing large. Not to mention, Richard Allen had the exact same clothing and admitted that he was wearing that exact same clothing that Bridge Guy was wearing, as well as multiple witnesses describing what he was wearing. Richard Allen also kept all of the phones that he's owned throughout several years, but for some reason, the phone that he would have had at the time of the murders went missing. He also gave conflicting stories about having his phone at the crime scene that day, so it's very possible that he left it at home so he couldn't have been tracked. Now let's talk about Libby's cell phone data, because the defense is really holding on to the fact that it is showing that somebody allegedly plugged headphones into her phone after she was deceased and then unplugged them several hours later. But more realistically, despite the fact that the defense paid somebody to image, and 5 years is a lot of time to get rid of any DNA evidence. My very unpopular opinion is that he was there and there might have been somebody else involved as well. Maybe he is one of the Odinists. I mean, who knows? But as always, I want to hear all of your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you guys think of this case? Do you think Richard Allen did this? Do you think he did it alone? Or do you think he is 100% innocent? You guys know I always love to hear what you have to say, and thank you guys so much for clicking on this video today. Again, if you're new here and you do enjoy this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss videos just like this one. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, as it is a free way to support the channel. I hope you guys take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in my next video.